Welcome back to WagerTalk.com. NBA playoff action. We've got Friday night action at Game 6. It's the LA Clippers at the Utah Jazz. Guys, this could be the last game that we see the LA Clippers as the present team that they are, because I got to think if they go out in the first round this year, they're blowing this team up. You've got two big free agents in Chris Paul and Blake Griffin. Blake Griffin obviously hurt and out for the rest of the playoffs. Once again, it seems like that's been a recurring story with Blake Griffin in the playoffs. What do you make of this going back to Utah? You know, Utah, a young team. They've played well all year. They had injuries all year. They even had injuries in this series. But you saw the minute that Gobert came back, the last two games, the Clippers have struggled offensively. Of course, a lot of that has to do when Gobert came back, so did Blake Griffin go out of the lineup. I'll start with you on this one, Ralph. What do you think here?
You know, Utah is the slowest paced team in the NBA, and I think this is where that helps them. When you get to the playoffs, you know the teams, you know how to play defense, possessions get slowed down. Another big edge, I think, is just going to be, you know, the altitude. Now they played games 3, 4, and now 6 in Utah. While they're accustomed to that, the Clippers aren't, and they're doing it with a shorter lineup without Griffin in there. So, you know, while I'm not sure, you know, they may get to the spread, I certainly expect Utah here to close it out and get the win in a lower scoring game.
Yeah, you're paying a price for Utah if you want to take them in this game. The line's at 5.5, and when you look at a number this high with the Utah Jazz and look at the way this series has been played, all 5 games have been decided by 8 points or less. So the knee-jerk reaction is, well, it's going to be a slower-paced game. You know, the Utah Jazz, you don't think of them as a favorite. You know, do we take the Clippers in a must-win situation, do or die? But the problem for me, Brian, and I'll see for you, I watched last night's game, and at times I looked at this LA Clipper team, and for a team that was playing at home in a 2-2 series, they looked lifeless at times last night. And my concern is, you know, have they mentally given up because they're without Blake Griffin and they know, you know, even if they get by this series, where are they going to go in the next round? If they fall behind, does this team pack it in Utah?
I hate to think any professional player would ever quit, but there would be an excuse for the Clippers. Without Griffin, the team has won in the paint, has played better in the paint, has won every game in this series. And without Griffin, they really don't have a lot down there. They've got the center who they can just foul him, and he won't make his foul shots. But one of the big things about the Clippers is Griffin, even though he was a power forward, he handled the ball a lot. So right now they put all the pressure on the point guard, great point guard, but they're able to pressure him, and Utah's a very good defensive team, as we pointed out. You know, I look at this, and without Griffin in the middle, it's just all down underneath is all Utah, which means the Clippers have to shoot from three-pointers, which means, similar to what our video is, if they get hot from three-pointers, sure, they can win these games. I would rather take the team who has been able to dominate down below. And, you know, teams that win that pivotal game 5 have done very well in closing out the series. They don't necessarily win the next game, but I believe it's like 80% that they end up winning the series. The Clippers will give it a go in the first half, but I would think if they're not in the game at halftime, I would like to play Utah the second half.
And because the Clippers are going to struggle for points, Chris Paul's got to do everything. And when you talk about the altitude, if he's got to log a lot of minutes, like we saw with the Oklahoma City series, they lost every fourth quarter to the Houston Rockets. They were in every game until the fourth quarter. They lost that battle because, you know, as good as Russell Westbrook was, he's human. He cannot play 48 minutes and be effective, you know, play 45 minutes or whatever. And that's what Chris Paul's going to be asked to do in this ball game. And playing at the altitude of Utah, I think that's going to be a factor. For me, if I make the play, I hate that this line is as high as it is. They're making you pay a premium because the Clippers look like a team that's given up. But it's got to be Utah or pass for me. Ralph? You
know, one note to our viewers. Now, with this line being 6.5 and the scoring the way it's going to be, this line is almost like a 9 or a 9.5 if you're playing the Houston-Oklahoma City series. So you, like you said, you're paying the premium, but you're paying the extra premium with a game this high. You know, I'm going to pick Utah to win the game. I think the Clippers, if I had to bet the game, I might bet on the Clippers just to lean with them with the points.
If the Clippers stay in this early, you might be better off jumping in game and getting Utah at a better number because it'll be adjusted, thinking how we are about the fourth quarter.
That's exactly what I was going to say. Either a second-half player to Utah, or if you're able to play the in-game, wait for the Clippers to get off to a decent start and keep this thing pretty close, and then you get a better line on it.
Watch Chris Paul the last 2 minutes of the first half and the first 2 minutes of the second half, and you can probably decide what you want to bet.
All right, good stuff, guys. Hey, and don't forget, if you're new to Wager Talk, we want to give you $50. After you make your first purchase of $12 or more, just email support, and it's support@Wager Talk. Put your username in there, and we'll verify your purchase. And after we do, within 24 hours, you'll have $50 in your account to spend any way you like at WagerTalk.com. That's just our way of saying thank you for joining the Wager Talk family. We'll be back with more here at WagerTalk.com.